We are doing something different today. Hello and welcome. My name is Jessie. I'm the founder and one of the cool sculpting providers over at Element Body Lab, the Dallas CoolSculpting Experts. I've got Jen, our other provider, over here in the background, and we are doing her upper arm cool sculpting treatment, and I thought this would be so fun to do it live. So I'm going to do everything from putting markings on all the way through this entire first cycle. And so if you are new here, just a reminder, a cycle is a industry term referring to every time we put a cool sculpting handpiece on the body. But I'm going to do some introductions to equipment, kind of walk you through what treatment day looks like. So buckle up because we're going to be here for a while. Now let's just dive right in and start doing an arm session. So I'm grabbing gloves because, you know, gloves are important. And Jen has told me that she wants to treat her arms. So Jen, come on up here and let's talk about why.
Okay.
So why do you want to treat your upper arms? What do you notice?
Okay, so what I noticed right here is this bump the most. It just kind of sticks out no matter how big or small I am.
This one right here?
Yep, right there.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get that taken care of.
Yeah. So do you notice it in clothes, out of clothes, all the time?
All the time.
Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is put your arms out in big old capital T and then step over to your right just a little bit. We're going to be working on this left arm. Okay, so whenever you're talking about an upper arm treatment, the place we can target is this pocket right here. So this spot that lies right beneath the kind of the tricep area. So I'm going to put a marking all the way up kind of close to the armpit here because that's where we want our treatment to start. And then good cool sculpting results have all the idea of what fat we leave behind. The fat we take away, you forget all about. It's the fat we leave behind that you remember us by. And so I am basically just mapping out where do I want this treatment to start and stop. Okay, now bend this arm up like a sloppy ballerina. You can drop this one down. I know it's like a little. So then in order to get full coverage, because just like I said, it's all about the fat we leave behind, and if I was to put one cycle or handpiece right smack dab in the center, I would be leaving this entire pocket of fat behind. So I'm going to come out to here because that's where we want our treatment to end, and we're going to get a little aggressive with our treatment plan, but you know we love aggressive results here. And we're going to treat one cycle closer to the elbow, one cycle closer to the armpit. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Yeah. I know, flop all the hair.
Yep.
So pro tip, whenever you come for cool sculpting treatment day, bring a hair tie. I always have extras. And you're just watching my creative brain work for a second. So one of the questions that I actually got before this, all right, bend this arm up, and I get all the time is, can you do cool sculpting with tattoos? What do you think, Jen? Can you do cool sculpting with tattoos?
Yes, you can. However, if you got tattoos back in the 70s,
Yep.
it may create a thermal event.
What's a thermal event?
Thermal event is when the temperature is not correct for cool sculpting. So that means that we have to stop treatment and try again in 24 hours.
Yeah, so so the handpieces themselves have little thermometer gauges on the inside of them that monitor the temperature out of the device and then back out of your skin just to make sure everything is perfectly lined up. That's what prevents frostbite. And so a lot of tattoos back in the 70s have lead in them. So if you have a tattoo that has lead in it, metal is obviously going to have a different freezing temperature. Okay, so turn around and face this kind of mirror so we can see, or not mirror, but camera. So what we can see is this is the pocket that Jen was talking about that she noticed all the time. This kind of angle right here. So by pulling this in, and you can actually face yourself.
Yeah.
So by pulling this in, do you see how that slims that pocket there? So we're gonna target this area. Let's go ahead and have you get situated. You can just sit down in the bed. So this is just a towel to be able to kind of prevent gel from getting all over this little bralette that Jen has on. Not fun. Can you do that on the other side for me? Perfect. So the next thing is we use this pre-treatment skin wipe for an entire minute. Just put your arm up like you're washing your hair. Awesome. And so I am just using this for an entire minute. So I actually have a timer here because I want to make sure that I use this for an entire minute because it's what removes any buildup of moisturizers and deodorants and just films of,
Biolayers.
yeah, all the layers of things that we put on our bodies, from shower gels to deodorants to sunscreens. This just makes sure that we are putting a protected barrier down on the skin. The active ingredient inside of this is called propylene glycol. Propylene glycol is inside of champagne and in deodorant. It's in Chick-fil-A sauce. What it is a food-safe antifreeze. So sometimes people want to know what exactly is that. And the word antifreeze freaks people out. So I like to lead with champagne and deodorant and Chick-fil-A sauce because nobody's afraid of that. And you're gonna stop this to where you don't, okay, bend that arm, perfect. Just that way it's out of the way. So the next thing I'm grabbing is a sticky gel pad. So this is a nylon cloth soaked in sugar water, dipped in propylene glycol. It's a protected barrier, but it's why I've got gloves on because it is so sticky. It's also why Jen has her hair out of the way because she knows.
On the armpit.
Right? What does it feel like?
It feels like if you got honey on your arm.
Yeah, that's a really good description. So, hence the double glove. Okay. So, now what I'm going to do is place a handpiece. So, I'm going to be programming my machine here. I'm bringing it into view. That way it's nice and close. I'll kind of scooch this over to where you can see me too. So, we are treating Jen's upper arms. We use the CoolSculpting Elite technology, which is amazing because the hand pieces are a little wider. You see a little results a little bit quicker than with the older versions of technology. It is the most up-to-date technology available from the CoolSculpting manufacturers. So we love it. This is what the hand pieces look like. They're great. So what I'm going to do, Jen, is I'm going to take the full weight of your arm. Relax, relax, relax. Great. It's going to feel like a vacuum hose at a car wash. All right, I'm gonna let go here just so I don't slap you. And all that I'm looking for is perfect placement. So I'm trying to make sure that I am perfectly lined up with my treatment markings. So I'm pulling Jen in and out of this little cup just to make sure I'm in the exact right spot all the way around. Perfect placement is how we get perfect results. Okay, rotate that arm down and forward for me. And that extra Velcro that I had from earlier, it's just to make things look nice and tidy. All right, how does it feel?
Like I'm suctioned in.
Like you're suctioned in?
Yep.
But no pain, right?
No pain.
Awesome. And so what you can see here is we have her her left arm all hooked up. And now I'm going to get her other arm situated. So I'm going to basically do the exact same process on the other side. How you feel? Dizzy, lightheaded, nauseous, anything like that?
Nothing like that.
If you had to describe the suction feeling, what would you describe it like?
Like when you're a kid and you're playing with a vacuum hose, against your skin. That's what it feels like.
And we haven't started cold at all yet, because really, this is all about getting you nice and positioned. This is just a place for you to relax your arms. Okay. So I'm going to come over to this side. Put this on my head. That way you got a place to relax. Okay, bring this one up for me. And we do the exact same thing on this side. So, prep first.
It's feeling cold.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Getting cold.
So what does that cold sensation feel like?
Right now, it just feels like I put like an ice pack on it. And it's the beginnings of the ice pack.
Mm-hmm. So stings, tingles, maybe burns just a little bit?
Now it's getting there.
Yeah?
Yeah. But it's not anything uncomfortable. It's just cold.
Have you ever been in a cryotherapy chamber?
No, my dad has. He's
Okay.
talked about it.
So people ask me all the time if it's similar to a cryotherapy chamber. I don't think so. I feel like it's way more similar to ice packs. Those cryotherapy chambers are all over. So it's cold everywhere, whereas this feels very isolated. It's very specific controlled cooling. It just feels like an ice pack. And so, I'm using that timer here again. So to make sure that we use this for an entire minute. And the reason that we use Sharpie whenever we are putting those treatment markings on is because, as you can see, I have taken off quite a bit of my marking just by using that pre-treatment skin wipe and cleansing and prepping the skin. So again, we have this sticky gel pad. How you doing over there? Good. It's a little uncomfortable, a little spicy, right? But not painful.
Yeah. Say it's like 5 on the scale.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, well, 1 to 10, yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, Jen is saying it's about a 5.
Maybe a 5, but it's super isolated, so it's not crazy.
Yeah, not like crazy achy, anything like that. So, I'm just going to turn my device ever so subtly here, just like I've done that before. All right, and give you the full weight of your arm one more time. Okay, I'm going to go here. And then again, what you're looking for, if you are shopping around for a CoolSculpting provider, the attention to detail in this aspect is really, really so incredibly important, because it is how we make sure that you are in the exact right spot. All right, relax that arm down. So wiggle your fingers for me. Do your fingers feel like they're falling asleep?
No.
Great. No. Great. So sometimes we're really close to what's called an ulnar nerve on the arm. It's that funny bone nerve. And so sometimes it can make you feel like your fingers are falling asleep in an upper arm treatment. It's not common, but it can happen. So if that does happen, it's not the end of the world. Your fingers will wake right back up as soon as we turn the treatment off. So again, just getting this nice and positioned and comfortable. All right, can you sit like that for 35 minutes?
Yep.
Awesome. So the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes are what are super uncomfortable whenever it comes to a CoolSculpting treatment. So I'm going to turn this just a skosh so you can see. Jen's treating 2 areas here. She's treating both sides of her arms, right? You can see left arm, right arm. But what you can see here is the time left on her treatment. So that left arm should be going numb at this point if it isn't already. How are you feeling over here?
My fingers feel cold.
Fingers feel cold?
Yeah, just differences in temperature.
But not painful?
No, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, so people ask all the time, you know, does CoolSculpting hurt? And I think it's a little uncomfortable those first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, but the great news about CoolSculpting is that cold is a natural anesthetic. So after about 5 minutes, you go numb. So it feels like ice packs going on the skin at the very beginning. And then whenever we take the handpiece off, it feels a little bit like a cold foot in a hot bath. So I always feel like I get that funny bone sensation on my upper arm treatments whenever we're doing the massage after a CoolSculpting treatment, but not during the session itself. During the session, it's pretty solid, comfortable. So advice that I have, because this is the other thing people always want to know, is like what to wear, what to bring. So for the upper arm session, I think wear a black solid sports bra or like a bandeau, which is what Jen has on, because then you're comfortable for the photos themselves. There's nothing obstructing, there's nothing in the way, but also you are comfortable just kind of hanging out in the treatment bed. You can see we've got cozy blankets, all kinds of stuff all over the bed to keep you nice and comfortable. But you want to wear something that is comfortable because you're sitting here for a couple of hours. So if you're like, all you've got is like an Armani suit, then we're going to probably bring you down to some disposable undergarments. That way you are a little bit more comfortable. We don't have to worry about anything getting on your clothes. What else comes up on treatment day? What other questions do you think people have?
Things to bring.
Oh, yeah. So here I am hanging out answering questions. This is what we're doing today. But a lot of times once I get you hooked up like this, we can dim the lights and then just leave. So I've got this like tray table that comes across the bed. So I'll bring that across. And Jen's got her phone and some like, you know, little AirPods here. Her hands are a little landlocked in an upper arm treatment. So depending on the part of the body that you're treating will depend on really what it is that you can do during the session. So if you're treating an abdomen or love handles, inner thighs, outer thighs, things like that, you can throw on an iPad and like binge watch some TV. That's kind of the best part. You can also bring a laptop and get some work done, but Jen's kind of landlocked. She can't really move her arms. And so I think headphones, like little AirPods or something that you can watch or listen to on your phone is a great idea. We've got Wi-Fi so you can get connected. We usually have an extra iPad around, just depending on how many patients we're treating at once. So we usually recommend bring something to occupy you. You could bring a book, an iPad, your cell phone. We've got all kinds of chargers. That way we can make sure that we can keep it comfortable. We also have coffee, water, tea, sodas, fruit punch because I'm pregnant and that's kind of what I'm craving these days is fruit punch and V8. So we have those around, as well as some snacks like Ritz, crackers, and RX bars. How you feeling?
Fine. This one's still cold.
So left one's numb at this point. So we are a little over, like about 7 minutes in. So her left arm is numb at 7 minutes in. Her right arm still feeling
it's
cold.
getting numb. Yeah.
And we're at 4 minutes in on the right arm. So this is what the treatment day looks like, is you just hang out, freeze your fat.
Easy.
So there's no restrictions or downtime after a CoolSculpting session either. So the great thing is Jen actually is just going back to work as soon as we wrap this up today. And so as soon as we wrap up her treatment, she's just going to get back to her normal day-to-day activities. There's no restrictions, no downtime, nothing you cannot do. There are a few best practices, things that I do recommend that you do after your CoolSculpting session. The first is get a workout within 24 hours. So the way the fat leaves the body is through your lymphatic system. So that means you pee, poop, and sweat it out over the course of 3 weeks to 3 months, and that depends on your metabolism and your lymphatic system. So how quickly you see results is really dependent upon you. But the things that you can do to stimulate your lymphatic system is anything that you do to make yourself pee, poop, or sweat. So high fiber diets, just be mindful if you are doing something high fiber. Like I always really like a chia seed supplement after my CoolSculpting treatment. But chia seeds are really high in calories. So be mindful of that if you're going to introduce chia seeds. I like to do some type of like really intense cardio, like a HIIT class or like a HIIT workout because it really stimulates the like sweat response. And then I like hot baths with Epsom salts. Do be mindful. If you're going to take a hot bath, I like scalding hot baths, like really hot. Okay. So if you take a hot bath like that, you may notice bright red rings where the treatment area is, just for a couple minutes after you're, after you hop out of the bath. The skin is really sensitive, so there's inflammation under the surface that you're not going to see. So sometimes people experience redness, swelling, bruising, numbness. These are all really common things after a CoolSculpting treatment. And that redness can kind of get exaggerated, or your skin can get irritated after a CoolSculpting session. If you go into a sauna or a hot yoga room or get in a hot bath, it'll go away. It's not the end of the world. But the more you do that, you like kind of trigger that redness response or trigger that inflammation, the more likely you are to see hyperpigmentation. So like take it a little easy. So on that note, we can kind of talk about the more rare things. So I said redness, swelling, bruising, and numbness is what you should expect. Just about everybody gets at least some of that after a CoolSculpting treatment. Sometimes people are pretty sore. It's almost like a deep muscle sore. Like it will feel like you've done tricep work, like on a Pilates reformer with really heavy weights. And that is pretty stinking common. But it's not going to be like excruciating pain in the back of the arm. Nothing like that. So that will happen for a couple days to a couple of weeks. The numbness is the thing that I think is the most annoying. It's the thing I get the most complaints on too. People are like, how long am I going to be numb? I'm like, I don't know. Some people it's a couple hours, some people it's a couple weeks. Of the thousands of treatments that we've performed, we've never had a permanent case of nerve damage. We've never had a permanent case of numbness. So it's not something that we're concerned about as an organization. I wouldn't be worried about that at all. That being said, if you are worried or you're like annoyed by the numbness, massage the area a couple of times a day. That will help kind of wake those things back up. I like Arnica. It's an over-the-counter topical gel. So Jen mentioned you could take Arnica before your CoolSculpting treatment to help with the healing process. You can also use it afterwards. So I prefer the topical Arnica, but it's just kind of who I am. Some people like the capsules. Some people like to ingest it. Whichever you want to do is totally fine. You can get that at Amazon, on Target, CVS, Walgreens. It's like $5 for a little container of it, and it's awesome. Helps with bruises too, so if you get a bruise, you can just use it on that. You numb?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so she's totally numb at this point. And so then the more rare side effects that you can happen, about 15% of the patients here at Element Body Lab experience what's called late onset pain. Late onset pain is just the nerves firing back together, and it's not soreness whenever you leave like what you would expect after a CoolSculpting treatment. It's soreness that shows up like 3 to 5 days later, and it's intense. It's nerve pain. Feels like zingers, or like you've taken a drink of something hot after you've whitened your teeth one too many times, but it's in the treatment area. I've also heard it feels like pieces of broken glass underneath the skin, or like bee stings. It's not the best. But the good news is it doesn't happen a ton, and it's not life endangering, anything like that. It's just scary if you don't know that it could happen. But if you do get that, like I get late onset pain every time I'm treated, and I will tell you, always goes away within about 3 to 5 days. The instance rates for it, they show it can last anywhere between 3 and 11 days, but things that you can do to help with that are compression and alternating ice and heat. You can also take a Benadryl. Weirdly enough, that seems to work for me. But if you are a patient of ours and you get it, let us know that. We want to get you in touch with our medical team. So we've got a great medical director. He can kind of point you in the right direction, or give you some really good pointers, just kind of depending on what's happening. So keep that in mind if you are someone who gets late onset pain. Outside of that, hyperpigmentation, we've talked about that. That's a change in the color of the skin. So it's not a bruise. It's something that lasts much longer than a bruise. It's a change in the color of the skin. So this is most common on patients with darker skin tones, patients who are susceptible to hyperpigmentation, keloid scars. So whenever I have someone who comes in and says like, oh, every time I get a laser hair removal treatment, I also get hyperpigmentation. Chances are you're gonna get hyperpigmentation after a CoolSculpting treatment. It usually resolves on its own. So every case that we've ever seen of it as a practice just spontaneously resolved on its own. There are things that you can do to minimize it or speed that process up, but since we're a CoolSculpting dedicated business, all we do is CoolSculpting, so we're going to take the wait and see approach. So if you are susceptible to hyperpigmentation, you may want to have kind of a backup plan to speed it up, or just be mindful of that, because I know sometimes people are like doing this to get ready for an event, like a wedding day. I don't want you to be doing this for a wedding day and not know that hyperpigmentation can happen and not have a plan in place. So talk to me about big events and things that you have going on in your consultation, so we make sure that we can educate you on what to expect. So hyperpigmentation, late onset pain, what else? Oh, the scariest thing that can happen with CoolSculpting is called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, or paradoxical hyperplasia. It's a big fancy word that means the reverse of what you want to happen happening. So instead of depleting fat cells in the area, you duplicate them. So the risk factor for this is 1 in 3,000 globally. So it's very, very rare. It's not life-threatening, anything like that, but it is an aesthetic concern. And it's definitely something you want to be well aware of and well educated on, because if it does happen, the crummy thing is the only way to get rid of it is liposuction. So the only thing to do about it is a surgical repair. And I know so many people are wanting to do CoolSculpting because they don't want to go under the knife. And if you get that, the only way to get rid of it is to go under the knife. So if that's like, you know what, it's not worth it to me, I just don't want to take the risk of 1 in 3,000, then I totally get it. I understand that wholeheartedly. I've had people say that to me in a consultation, and I just say, absolutely. That's the risk, right? That's the concern, is if that does happen, what are you willing to do about it? I've also had people who say, you know what, I don't want to go under the knife. If it happened, that would be terrible, and I would just live with it. And I'm like, okay, great. And I also have people who say, you know what, if you could liposuction it and it's not a health concern, then I'm all game. That's a pretty stinking low risk. It's all about that risk reward. We've got tons of information on our website. So we actually have a patient safety data sheet, which is from the manufacturers. It's from the makers of the CoolSculpting technology that goes through all of the risks all of the side effects, all the contraindications or reasons that you should not be treated with CoolSculpting, and all of the considerations or things that you want to keep in mind while you're choosing whether or not it's a right procedure for you. If you go to elementbodylab.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, it doesn't matter what page you're on, all the way to the bottom, in the menu bar, there's some really useful things. One of them is that patient safety data sheet. One of them is a compliance document that talks about all of the medical board laws. So CoolSculpting providers work under the medical direction of a overseeing physician. So my name's Jessie, I'm the founder and one of the providers here. Jen's another one of the providers. And we have a medical director who makes sure that everything we do here is compliant with medical board laws, because CoolSculpting is a prescription in the state of Texas. And so the only person who can actually write a prescription and tell you, hey, you're a great candidate for CoolSculpting, is a high-level medical professional. So that's part of the consultation journey here, is we want to make sure that this is the right procedure for you, that it's a safe procedure for you, and that you like our facility and our team, which I think you will. Yeah, so how you doing?
Great.
I'm out of breath. That was a lot of talking. So
That was a lot of talking.
So Jen has, let's see here, about 20 minutes left on one, 17 left on the other, of her first of two areas that we're treating. So if we were going to translate this into dollars, because this is the next question people have, it's like, okay, they get curious about the treatment, they get curious about what to expect on treatment day, and then they want to know how much does it cost. So CoolSculpting is priced by what is called a cycle. Cycle is an industry term referring to every time a handpiece, which looks like this, goes on the body. So this is a little bit larger of a handpiece than what I have on Jen. This one's more common on an abdomen, whereas the one that she's got is a little more petite, a little more narrow, because that's what makes sense for her upper arms. But if you think about it like you buy gas by the gallon, you buy CoolSculpting by the cycle. So gallon is the industry term for what you're purchasing on a tank of gas. Cycle is the industry term referring to every time we put a handpiece on. So you can see Jen has 2 handpieces on right now, right? We're doing 4 total today. So 4 cycles with us. If you have our pricing sheet, which we can tell you where to get it, it's at elementbodylab.com/cost, but the pricing sheet looks like this. And whenever you're reading it, over here, this is the cycles column. You can see cycles, and then the package price is the other column that you really want to pay attention to. So 4 cycles with us is $2,700. So 4 cycles is $2,700. But we talk about expectations and results a ton, right? So how many, what results should you expect from this, Jen?
About 20% of the fat.
And
25%.
Yeah, so we notice an average reduction of about 20 to 25% on a bell curve with each session. So whenever people want a more dramatic result than that, what do?
Get more sessions.
Right. So when will results show up?
About 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. So you'll start to notice a difference somewhere around 3 weeks. Full results is 3 to 4 months. There are places that I'm really aggressive, and that we as an organization are really aggressive, like abdomens and love handles, because people want really dramatic transformations there. There are also places that we're really conservative, like arms and legs. So arms and legs are one of the places they respond really well, but there's not a ton of forgiveness in a straight line. So my recommendation for Jen is going to be to wait 2 to 3 months before she makes a decision on whether she keeps going. So you saw her at the beginning of this video. She doesn't have a ton of fat through her arms. Chances are she'll do a second session. So chances are she will do 2 rounds of treatment with us. But she can say, you know what, I really am happy with my results. And it depends upon how aggressive of a result she sees from a first session. So usually people, what they do is they prepay for multiple sessions up front, because most people want more than 20% of the fat gone. So if Jen bought 8 cycles with us, that would be $4,500. So $4,500 for 2 rounds of treatment. That's 8 cycles total. If she comes in at the 2-month mark and she says, you know what, I love my arms, they're not the place anymore, she can use the remaining balance on any place that she wants, because you buy CoolSculpting by the cycle, not by the body area. So where are the places that you can treat with CoolSculpting?
Abdomens, raw fat, back fat.
So that's back here and here.
Love handles.
That's here.
banana rolls.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
So that's a spot called right here, this spot beneath the butt. They call that a banana roll. It's a terrible name.
Yeah. Underneath the chin.
Here. So sometimes people like to treat this pocket right here, but sometimes they want a more structured jawline. Okay.
And then you can do inner thighs,
Mm-hmm.
outer thighs,
Mm-hmm.
right above the knee.
Yeah, that's called the distal thigh.
Yeah.
And
that little.
oh, this is one of my favorite places to treat. They call this an axillary puff. It is like the best thing whenever you get rid of that pocket of fat, because like right now it's like the trendy style to like wear stuff that cuts in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like all of these like real structured things, and like this little armpit pocket, like if you've got it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're like, preach. Yes. So that place is a place that you can treat with CoolSculpting. And so if Jen wanted, so everybody's got a different goal in mind, right? So Jen's like, it's here that I notice, it's this pocket here. But if it was like the way that a tank top fits, we could talk about this pocket, and this pocket. So it's easy to get caught up in a cycle of kind of negative self-talk where you're like, my entire body. I don't like my entire body. And that's not a good reason to do CoolSculpting. If there are specific pockets of fat that you're noticing, like your arms or that bra pocket that we talked about, if it's your inner thighs or your abdomen, like if there's a specific place, we want to talk about that specific place. But we're not here to tell you that you need CoolSculpting. We're not here to say that something is wrong. Like fat is not a bad word here. We all have fat. Everyone has fat. Just like you have fingernails, you are not fingernails. You have fat, you are not fat. That is important to keep in mind. And we can help with the places that you do notice. So if you've got those pockets of fat that are not responding to diet and exercise, no matter how hard you work, no matter what it is that you do, then we would love to help with that stuff. And then just kind of enhance the curves or slim the waistline or do whatever it is to kind of like fine tune those pockets, and then you just maintain it with diet and exercise. So assuming you love your results after your first session, you'd want to do no more. How do you maintain results?
Diet and exercise.
Diet and exercise?
Yeah.
So that's the best part. There's no maintenance treatments. And so unlike a lot of other procedures that you can do where it's like you have to come back every month or every couple of months, it's not the case with CoolSculpting. Once you get to your result, you maintain it with diet and exercise, and that's a wrap. That's all you got to do. Anything else?
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
So we got 10 minutes left on this area. So many people ask me what my office looks like. So I'll do that. So, we have been in business for 3 years. We opened the doors. Whenever we opened the doors, we were originally inside of a plastic surgeon's office, who I am forever grateful for and to, because he really helped me get an understanding of how to run a business and like what mattered in space. And then we opened this new location, the standalone facility, in September of 2020. And so it's great because we have bigger space, bigger location. So this is the lobby. So you can see, so lobby here. And then as we travel through, you're in an actual like private suite. So we've got a restroom over here. That's just for patients. We've got this first treatment room, which is where you see Jen hanging out, just scrolling on her phone, doing all the things. And then as we travel down this hallway, we've got another treatment room. So a second treatment room, big windows, some extra comfy chairs. That way, if you want to bring somebody with you to hang out, you certainly can. And then we have a photo room with like a photo setup. I know some of you have seen the before and after photos that we take. So standard backdrop. We've got lights everywhere, so we're able to kind of cue you on what it is that you need to be doing to be able to get really consistent before and after photos. And then, the great thing about our facility is we are, like I've mentioned, CoolSculpting dedicated. So all we do is CoolSculpting here day in and day out. We are really focused on doing one thing, being the best at it. We've got older versions of the technology. We've got the CoolSculpting Elite. We have tons of information and tools online. So if you are in that research phase of the CoolSculpting experience, then please don't hesitate to reach out. The first step is always to do a virtual consultation. They're usually done with myself. My name's Jessie. I'm the founder and one of the providers here at Element Body Lab. It's a video call just like this. They're pretty short because usually people have done a ton of research before they talk to me. And so my goal with those consultations is really just to answer any questions that you do have about the procedure, about the technology. We can talk about how CoolSculpting works and where the fat goes and all of the details around a CoolSculpting treatment or recovery, or we can just talk about the price and the specific areas that you notice or that bother you. And everything that we do here is customized. And so sometimes people want me to just tell them how much CoolSculpting costs. And you've already seen Jen's arms. And so for her treatment, it would be $2,700 if she was paying for it by the session, $4,500 if she bought the full recommendation. But like not everybody's arm is the same. And so some people it's $1,500 per session or $2,700 for the full transformation. Just depends upon the length of your arm. And it depends upon the part of the body that you're noticing or that you want to transform. And so for her, the place that she always notices is her arms. But for other people, it's their abdomen or their love handles. For me, it was my inner and outer thighs, and those photos are on the website. I also have treated my abdomen and my love handles. I'm holding strong, like years after a CoolSculpting treatment and a pregnancy later. So whenever people ask, like, hey, does this interfere with anything from a pregnancy perspective? I can only speak to my own kind of firsthand experience, but I was treated well before I ever got pregnant, and my results have held strong both before and after. We're back for the post-treatment massage. We got about 20 seconds left before this handpiece comes off. And I want to give y'all like an up-close look at what happens after a CoolSculpting treatment, what you're looking for, what are signs of really solid placement and solid results. So I'm going to come over to this side because I want to be able to get nice and close on Jen's upper arm. So what we're doing is we're taking our handpiece off. And so I know I'm going to be in your way for a second, but just bear with me. So I'm turning off suction and then pull that arm up back behind your hair like what you were doing earlier. So what we are looking for, you can actually see this red like circle right where our like Sharpie is. And at the same time, the other thing we're looking for is that imprint, that little gel trap imprint that you see. Let's get nice and close. Can you see that?
No.
Am I even close? So that gel trap imprint is a solid indicator of a really good CoolSculpting treatment. So heck yes. So at this point, what this usually feels like is a cold foot in a hot bath. Would you agree?
Yes.
Is this the most uncomfortable part of the treatment?
Yes.
What does it feel like? Talk to me.
It's numb, but it's like pressure, and where the edge was is what feels things right now.
Oh, okay. So like the edge of the handpiece itself?
Yeah, like I can feel that. It kind of feels a little burning, but not crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's really weird because you can't feel it.
Yeah, it's like the most bizarre feeling. It like hurts and is numb and is really uncomfortable all at once. But I mean, what we are looking.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not something that's gonna like heal you over.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I have someone cry, but pain is subjective. So usually people are totally fine during this post-treatment massage. But what we are doing is we are causing a rapid reperfusion of blood back to the treatment area. That means a blood rush. So at the same time as we're like stimulating that blood rush, we are also manually manipulating this actual fat, this frozen fat, in order to be able to break up some of those frozen fat cells. So the reason I wanted to show you that red ring and that gel trap imprint is because those are the indicators of a really, really good treatment. So you want those hand pieces exactly placed. It's all about the fat we leave behind. All about the fat we leave behind. And so we put these markings on because we want to be able to follow our plan. So Timer's up. Heck yeah. So you can relax that hand. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So this one, you're actually going to be able to see a little bit better just because of how and where we are placed. Oh, look. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen.
Being able to push buttons is nice.
Whenever we take this handpiece off, again, we are looking for firm fat. A little gel trap imprint. There we go. And placement right where we wanted it. And we have all of the things. So I know you're kind of at an angle whenever you're looking at it like this. So let me turn. You can see. Heck yeah. And you can see this little gel trap imprint right where I wanted it to be. Isn't that so satisfying? Gosh, it's satisfying. The gel trap imprint is like life. So we do this massage for an entire 2 minutes. You can tell that we're sticklers for our timing here. So again, rapid reperfusion of blood, breaking the frozen fat cells out. You can see I got all the way down to Jen's armpit, all the way to where that first cycle placement was. Those are all really great indicators. And so perfect placement is how you get perfect results. And so make sure that your provider is paying close attention to those markings, because that's why we take so much time and energy putting them on. But as you can also see here, a lot of my Sharpie has come off. It's a great thing, so she doesn't have to scrub Sharpie off whenever she goes home. It's kind of a win. How you doing?
Good.
Dizzy, lightheaded, nauseous, anything like that?
No.
Sometimes I feel a little clammy during this part. That's normal. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Jen?
I'd say about like a 5 or 6. It's maybe on level with like it being cold. It getting cold in them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
first 5 minutes or 7 minutes or so for Jen was about a 5. This is about a 5. But nothing that made you want to like keel over and cry?
No, not at all.
So
It's not something that would make me stop getting it again.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've had some other procedures done in the past, not
Yeah.
CoolSculpting, but you've had some other like different types of things in aesthetics done, yes?
Oh yeah.
And so in comparison to the other stuff that you have done, talk to me about comparisons.
I've had my lips injected, and man, that was spicy. It really made me consider doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, but
Yeah.
I think that pain was, comparison to this, was worse. I also got my eyebrows microbladed, so I think that took longer and felt worse for a longer period of time.
Okay. So lips significantly more painful.
Yeah.
Microblading took longer.
Yeah,
So
took
more
longer, and like it was like the numbing didn't really work on me. So it was just kind of like I took it, but
Yeah.
I took it. Can't do anything about it.
No.
But yeah, this is way better than that.
Okay, so hold your arm up, show them the redness. So whenever we talk about redness after a CoolSculpting treatment, this is what we are talking about. You can see Jen's arm is nice and red. That redness will go away, as will this little ring, this little indentation that you see.
Cold skin.
But yeah, it's super cold to touch. The redness will go away. I'm not seeing any signs of bruising. Usually if you're gonna bruise, we know before you actually leave. You can see it looks like a little petechio bruise, like almost like a hickey. So I'm not seeing any signs of bruising on Jen. What we are going to do is, hold that arm up again one more time. So we treated this area. We're gonna do the exact same thing here with the overlap. So if you are overlapping, you want a minimum of a 2-finger overlap, but there's no maximum amount that you can overlap from a treatment perspective. You just want to make sure that you're getting full coverage. So if your provider is recommending an aggressive overlap, that is totally fine. Don't let it concern you. But you do want to be mindful of full coverage. What Jen needed to get full coverage of her arms was 4 cycles. If you have any questions for us, then don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to get back to doing Jen's treatment here. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.